Hello, my name is Abhishek Sharma. I'm the co-founder of Shunya Labs. I've been an entrepreneur for a fairly long time. I've done few startups, a few bombed, few became big, and I don't know anything else. So here I am, starting all over again with Shunya Labs. We are a voice AI infra company. We have our own foundation models. We have a speech to text model. We have a text to speech model. We have a real-time conversion model, a translation model for Indic languages. Our coverage is about 55 Indic languages. It's the most comprehensive Indic language covering model. We basically work with enterprises. We do custom small language model implementations. That's something which is, which is very core to what we do. We basically pivoted from a mental health deep tech venture. And one of the things which we have developed, we spent good 4 years developing that, is one of the most comprehensive clinical knowledge graph in the world. So that gave us quite a bit of understanding on solving one of the most complex problems which enterprise basically face with respect to their knowledge management and knowledge retrieval. We layer it with voice, and that becomes an integral story of what we are building. We also do voice agent implementation for our enterprise clients. The problem we are solving is very interesting. See, if we look back, keyboards which have been given to us, whether it's a keyboard of the laptop or desktop or the QWERTY keyboard on your mobile, is not the most natural way of communicating with a device, right? All of us are fairly comfortable talking to each other. We look at micro expressions, we look at the body language, and so on and so forth. That's why we love spending time with our friends and family and meeting people, in person, and we generally happy talking to each other, right? So voice has been a key integral story of how we as humans been communicating with each other for a very, very long time. The keyboards were basically just an instrument because we didn't really solve voice as a problem statement. So my belief is that, with voice AI just around the corner, and it is literally, it's taking shape, it is where email was in late 90s, really. That's the comparison I would take. So there's a lot gonna happen in voice. Few years down the line, I think we will stop using keyboards at all, and we will start interacting with our devices through voice. And that's gonna be a landscape shift, really. We pivoted from a mental health deep tech venture, and when we were building the deep tech product in the mental health space, we were actually building a product for psychiatrists and psychologists, and we had to solve for the transcription as a problem statement. So we first solved the speech to text problem statement. When we were solving that, with the clinical knowledge graph, which we built to support that, we realized how good we are. We are technically deep inside. Our DNA is very research centric. The research, with all the patents and research papers, one of the most cited research paper on LLM hallucination has been written by our co-founder, Saurav. We have about 12 patents in the machine learning space. Some of his papers are published in ICML as well. So the research essentially made sure, and our deep knowledge of the speech to text and the clinical knowledge graph side of story, sort of naturally all of this came together, and we realized that we are good at it and we are good at solving this problem, in the time to come, and hence we took that as a bigger challenge onto our shoulders, and we sort of moved in that direction. Yeah, there are a lot of others in the space. First and foremost thing, there's a lot happening. In past 6 odd months, we have seen the entire landscape shifting, and I'm deeply ingrained in the ecosystem. So I know a whole bunch of founders trying to solve this problem, which is fantastic because this is not a problem which one company can really solve. The voice AI is gonna take a shift in a very fast way. There's a lot going to happen. Now, as far as our differentiation compared to rest of the ecosystem is concerned, are as follows. First and foremost, we are research first organization. We are solving these problems on a first principle basis. We are not building another wrapper, so to say. We are solving a speech to text problem. We are solving text to speech problem. And we're trying to solve it in a way that, there's not too much dependence on GPUs, because finding GPUs to train the models is not that easy. It's fairly expensive, and that's something which, we've been very successfully able to do. So that's the first distinction, I would say. The second distinction is, as I said, our grip on understanding, how to retrieve the knowledge which is sitting in the organization, plug in into a small language model or a custom small language model, and do an enterprise implementation. Most of the POCs, fail in production. With our research focus, with our own foundation models, with our equip and handle on the very basics of building or solving knowledge as a problem, knowledge retrieval as a problem statement. Now, all of these pieces sort of coming together for us and giving us the foundation we need. And hence, in a very small period of time, we've been able to solve some of the very, very hard problems for some of the large customers, we've been working with. So that's something which sort of, I think, comes natural to us because of our, focus and our foundation. Let me try and answer that. There are two parts to this answer. The first is that we thought the toughest challenge is gonna be in convincing some of our potential clients and partners on what we can do for them. That turned out to be a relatively easy problem, which is great. It gave us the doorway. Now the harder problem to solve is actually to solve the problem, right? Because, more often than not, the POCs, which happen in the enterprises are successful. But when rubber really meets the road in production, and that's when the challenge really starts to erupt. And 80 to 90% of the POC to production sort of failure rate, several studies which talk about from an AI implementation standpoint, is a fairly hard problem to solve. In the same breath, I would say this is that's what keeps us going. That's what is a differentiation between us and the remaining partners in the ecosystem, and that's what we are good at. So our deep understanding and the ability to go further deeper into an organization challenges and solve it with the first principle is something which we've been able to successfully deliver on. There are different models, conformer-based model, transformer-based model, state space model, speech to speech. There are different models which essentially are there. I think the way, I would not say the frustrating experience, so to say, but I think the cascaded architecture, which is the speech to text, LLM and text to speech architecture, and the new evolution which is bound to happen in the time to come in the speech to speech, is a very, very interesting problem to solve. It will take care of a lot of challenges which enterprise face with respect to latency, with respect to accuracy, and so on. And if, as an industry, and all the entrepreneurs operating in the voice AI ecosystem, if we can come together and solve it, I think it's gonna do it will have a big impact on the overall enterprise ecosystem worldwide, so to say. We've been mastering it or trying to master it. As I said, we are very heavily research focused. And one of the hardest problems to solve is the code switch problem. We have a proprietary training methodology which we use to train our models. And code switching is one problem which we've been trying to solve, or rather we've been on it for a fairly long time. Because in transcription, by and large, people use two languages. You could use Hindi and English, you could use Tamil and English. So we've been on it for a fairly long time. The code switch model which we have developed is a remarkable model, and it has been able to deliver results in production, not only in POC. I should say that very clearly. and that's been giving results to our enterprise clients, and they're fairly happy with it. So it's a hard problem, but I think we have been on it and we've been able to give shape to it. 2 to 3 years in voice AI is a fairly long time, right? I think, as I said earlier, in all likelihood, we will stop interacting with our devices through the keyboard. As you must have noticed, all of us are fairly comfortable sending voice notes to each other rather than typing. That's how we use Claude. That's how we use ChatGPT. So I think voice AI is one of the biggest spectrum shifts which will happen in the time to come. 2 to 3 years, I think the keyboard for sure is gonna go out of the window. The device interaction is going to be through voice. Most of the calls will essentially, whether outbound or inbound, when you talk to an enterprise, will be through voice. One of the other thing which we've been working on for one of our client is making sure that the smaller set of models which we are custom developing for that client sits on the device. So, some of the models could be as small as, maybe 60 million to, let's say, or 600 odd million parameters sort of models, which can sit on your device and they can run pretty much on the device. So these few landmark shifts will happen, but predominantly all of this will sort of come together in a way that, our interaction with devices is going to be completely keyboardless, and it will be completely, not even keyboardless, it will actually be completely menu free. You'll be interacting with your devices, whether phone or keyboards or whatever, largely through voice. The biggest benefit of this program really has been that listening to some of the amazing bunch of leaders we have had a chance to meet. There's no way, probably will take years to meet them. It's a fantastic program. We not only had opportunity to meet them in a group, in a cohort, but then opportunity to interact one-on-one with them, making them understand our proposition and figuring out what we can do and what Reliance as an ecosystem can benefit from as far as our products and services is concerned is one of the, I would say, big takeaway. The second big takeaway is that getting to understand what it takes to build an organization, right? Like such a large organization, and building a legacy-based, legacy-powered organization, making sure that you bring the right kind of people on board, learning from their experiences, very, very seasoned professionals. It's been hugely eye-opening experience for me personally. I've learned a lot. I have taken a lot of thought-provoking ideas. I'm going to carry back with me, and hopefully we will be able to utilize this in some way or manner in Shunya Labs as well. And we are looking forward to collaborating deeper and deeper and figuring out a way to work together.